Starfield is looking incredible. I was a little bit skeptical at first because it just looked too good to be true. But the more that I see, the more faith I have that this game is actually gonna be really good. Today, Bethesda held their Starfield Direct after the Xbox Game Showcase, and I just wanted to take some time today to tell you what I thought about that event and what I think about Starfield in general. But before I do that, I must introduce myself. My name is GL Jake. We might have met before, but you haven't seen me before. Here I am. What do you think? I'm fat. I'm white. Could you guess? You probably, right. All right. Let's get started. So right out of the gate, I just want to touch on performance really quick. We all know that Bethesda games tend to have performance issues, especially at launch. And given what I saw last year at the Xbox Direct, I guess it would have been in 2022, I thought that Starfield was going to be the same way because it wasn't even running at 30 frames. And my thought was, if they're struggling to run it at the literal presentation that it's supposed to sell us on the game, how is this going to run on my PC? But I'm happy to report that actually everything looks really good. The new showcase they had today looked way better. It looks like most stuff is running at 60 frames. I did notice some stuttering and a couple of frame drops, but frankly, I can live with that for what this game is and the fact that it's a Bethesda product. So if that's what we end up getting, I think we're in good shape there. And another area that was really concerning to me in the last showcase they had for the game was the combat system. To me, it looked like basically the same as Fallout 4, and that's not quite gonna cut it these days. And I don't know if it's because the performance is better, but it looks a lot better too. The shooting just looks a lot smoother, aiming down sights. It just looks like quick and responsive and exactly what you would want in a modern game. So I'm really happy to see that too. I'm actually really excited to get into combat with this game because you get this jump pack and you can like jump around and fly around shooting at stuff like your Jango Fett, which is super cool. And to make matters even more interesting, they added a really in-depth customization system. One designer during the press conference mentioned that he thinks there are more weapons in Starfield than there ever have been in a Bethesda game before. And I looked it up and there's something along the lines of 180 weapons in Fallout 4. So you can expect probably around 200 weapons in this game. And that's a ton of variety, but there's also this awesome customization system, so the variety is going to be off the charts. You can swap out the barrels and the magazines and the receivers and the scopes, basically everything you can imagine in a weapon customization system. This game's going to have that. So with all of these guns and all of these options to customize things, I can really imagine that the combat in this game is going to be really satisfying. If I'm being honest with you, that's not something that I ever thought I would say about a Bethesda game. I think above all else, my biggest question going into Starfield has been, is this game going to be an actual RPG? Like Fallout 4, at least in my view, was totally ruined by the way that it handled its dialogue system and in turn the way that its story was told. It felt more like a looter shooter than anything, and shooting isn't that great in Fallout, and honestly neither is looting, so I don't really know what they were going for there. The good news is it looks like this isn't gonna be a problem in Starfield. It seems like Bethesda understands the mistakes that they made with Fallout 4 and they're committed to making sure that that does not happen again. And above all else, like the most important thing, the big W Bethesda's taking here is the game has a silent protagonist. Bethesda games are all about the way that the game tells you the story and the people that you meet and the way that their stories are told. And the only way that you can really keep that dynamic and make you feel like as the player, like you're involved in these stories is by letting the player do whatever they want and say what they want. Not adding a voice allows the player to kind of think, well, what does the voice sound like? It's my character. I don't want it to sound like some dude named Jeff. Yeah. I want it to be me. I want it to be whatever's in my head. So the fact that they've done away with this is magical. I'm elated. The other side of my concern was the way that they would handle the leveling system, because I wasn't that big of a fan of the way they did it in Fallout 4. And this game does pull some influence from the way that Fallout 4 handled its leveling system. But with this game, there's so many perks. I counted them. I think there's around 100 different perks that you can pick. The build variety that's gonna allow, like 100 different perks, all of which I think have 4 tiers of upgradability. You're gonna be able to make so many different types of characters in this game that it's not gonna be a problem. At least I don't think it will be. And the game has an incredible character customization system as well. Fallout 4's was pretty good, but this game takes it to the next level. I'm not gonna get too much into the details here because I don't fully understand it, but what I saw was very impressive at the press conference, and it makes it look like you can create your character to be whatever type of identity you want to have in the game. And beyond just the identity portion, like I said, the build variety is going to be off the charts too. So I think this game is going to have an intense amount of replayability, which of course is very important for RPG games and especially Bethesda games with all of those mods. For some reason, people often seem to be comparing this game and No Man's Sky. And I think this is mostly caused by the clips they show of you using the mining laser to get iron or whatever, because it really does look like the No Man's Sky mining laser. But besides that and the whole outer space ordeal, this game and No Man's Sky are obviously not very similar. But I do want to take some time to kind of compare them in terms of the vastness of their like space exploration, because I think the planet variety in this game is one place that it has a leg up over all of the competition. From the dry, barren moons to the Goldilocks zone planets with big ass cities on them. I just think there's so much variety on display in what they've shown so far, and it looks so much better than, especially No Man's Sky, but it looks better than any other game that has attempted anything remotely close to this in the past. I think the game's lighting system lends itself to this so well. So the game calculates the light on the planet. It generates that based on where the sun is in the solar system that you're in. But beyond that, the game also calculates the way the atmosphere reacts with the light. So it generates this really unique feeling on every planet. So depending on what type of planet it is and how thick the atmosphere is, you're gonna get a whole different vibe on that planet. And it looks like each planet is gonna have its own unique fauna and flora as well. And while games like No Man's Sky do this, the problem is they do it a lot worse. In No Man's Sky, they're all procedurally generated. They all look like kind of just dopey dinosaurs, and I don't really vibe with that. In this game, those things are handcrafted. Starfield does use procedural generation to generate its planets and like the terrain, but the team goes in after and handcrafts everything from the fauna, like all the animals, to caves and settlements and quests, and they're going to take advantage of what procedural generation can offer, which is, let's make this massive universe with apparently 1,000 different planets, all of which are explorable, but we can get in there as artists and make a unique experience for our players. As you probably already know, the shipbuilding in this game looks absolutely incredible. It went pretty viral when they showed it off last year, but I do want to take some time to talk about it today. So just to refresh your memory, I think this game has the best ship customization system I have ever seen in any video game, period. It's basically like Kerbal Space Program in that it's totally modular and you can put your engines where you want and your cargo bays where you want, except you don't need to be a physicist to play it like you do in that game. I can't even get a ship off the planet in that game. It's ridiculous. In this game, it's all about fun and you can just craft things however you want, and I think that's awesome. Just look at this ship that they showed in Starfield Direct today. I think it looks pretty stupid, frankly. They said it's supposed to look like a mech, like I guess they were going for an Optimus Prime vibe. I think they hit a Big Chungus vibe. It looks stupid, but I think it shows the possibilities. You can build whatever the hell you want, slap some engines on it, and off you go into space. I'm just really happy to see that they've given players that freedom of creativity to do whatever they want. And these ships are massive. It's really put into perspective when you see them from the ground looking up at them. They mentioned this in the Direct, and I hadn't realized this, but these things aren't like little starfighter ships. These are like big freighters, almost like frigates. Like if you're a Star Wars guy like me, like the minimum size ship appears to be something like the Millennium Falcon with like a whole ass interior and a bedroom and everything like that. But they get bigger from there to the point where you can hire a whole staff to staff the ship for you. And I'm really hyped about that too. I'm gonna have my own little rig in this game. I'm gonna hire some people to man the guns, and that's a super cool extension of the game's companion system, by the way. And I think it also lends itself really well to the combat system because you're gonna have people on board helping you with that too. And I wanna take a second to talk about the combat system. Like a lot of ship-based combat in video games, this one is based around managing your power delivery. You have to manage like how much power is going to your shields and your guns and your thrusters. And in a lot of games that can feel kind of tedious. In this game, it's like 5 or 6 different categories that you have to manage. And I think that complexity is gonna make it a lot more interesting to deal with. And it looks like a really cool system, like just the ship combat of it. You're flying around, shooting things, leading your shots. It's pretty simple and it's what you'd expect. But for Bethesda, I was worried about this, but it looks like they've nailed it, which is super cool to see. And to make things better, you can board ships. If you take out a ship and you disable it, you can board that ship, kill the crew, and steal the ship. And I think that's gonna be super fun too. You can be like a pirate just going around stealing shit from people. I think that's gonna be super dope. Gotta be honest, the art style of Starfield didn't really jive with me at first. It felt like it wasn't futuristic looking enough, and I was worried that because of its kind of like bare bones art style, I was worried that you wouldn't be able to customize things to look cool. And for me, when I play RPG games, I gotta be blinged out, obviously. And while I am still concerned about that, I have gained a pretty deep appreciation for the art style that Bethesda's going for here. An artist today during the presentation referred to their style as NASA punk. And that really helped me gain an appreciation for what they're doing and what they're going for. It's not really meant to be super futuristic, right? Like they're going for a realistic kind of, what would humans actually build in 200, 300, however many years it takes? What would our ships actually look like? It seems like that's what they're going for. And I really like that, and I can kind of admire that, even if it does raise some eyebrows about what cosmetics are gonna look like in this game. But my eyebrows are raised. I think I'll be able to make a ship. I don't think the ship's gonna be a problem. I think the style works well, and I'll be able to make a cool looking ship with all the colors and body pieces you can mess around with. But like my character, like how am I supposed to look sick when I'm wearing a friggin' fishbowl? Like how am I supposed to look dope? How am I gonna get blinged out when I've got this big fucking I don't know, man. I guess we'll see though. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. If they don't prove me wrong, I know modders will. And that brings us to our final point. And yeah, the last thing I wanted to touch on was mods. You know, mods have taken Bethesda games to the next level for as long as I can remember, dating back all the way back to Fallout 3. And Starfield is shaping up to be no different. In fact, if anything, it's looking like it might be better than ever. Bethesda has literally referred to Starfield's modding support as a dream for the community. They know how important modding support is to the longevity of their games. And so I'm really excited that, for one, they recognize that, which I'm not really surprised by. But for two, I'm really excited to see what the community is gonna make. It seems like there's way more potential here than there ever has been in the past. I imagine that this game is gonna have a really long life cycle, just like Skyrim, probably 10 to 15 years we'll be playing this game. And I'm so excited to see what kind of mods come out over that time span. To think I'll be in like my 40s playing a Starfield mod all the way in the future, like thinking about that is incredible, honestly. And I'm so excited to see what happens there. And honestly, this whole game just sounds like something I would have dreamed up when I was a kid. You know, exploring space, going to one of 1,000 different planets, checking everything out. I grew up as a huge Star Wars nerd, and I still am a huge Star Wars nerd. So this concept of exploring planets and going wherever the hell I want and building a spaceship, it really vibes with me. When I was a kid, I always wanted a game like this. And now we're finally gonna get it, and I'm really excited for it. I'm trying to pause my excitement because obviously anything can happen. This game could be trash, but I don't know, man. It looks really good, and I think I'm gonna have a blast with it. Pretty much all I got for you though today, you know. Hopefully this format works for you. If you've been around, you've watched a few of my videos, this is what I look like. I'm gonna be on camera because I got one and I paid money for it, so I'm gonna use it. Hopefully you like it. I hope you had fun watching this. Like, subscribe, comment, dislike, whatever. I am making a similar video about the Xbox showcase, so if you're interested in that, I will have that uploaded probably in 12 to 24 hours. So if you're interested, Go ahead and check that out. I'll put it on the screen somewhere, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Pepsi bottle, a Coca-Cola glass. I don't give a damn.